The study of genetics has grown vastly since the 1900s. Now we know exactly how traits are passed down from parent to offspring, and we can even identify where genes are located on chromosomes. These discoveries have led to an improved lifestyle for many people. For example, many of our foods are now genetically modified to better fit consumer and producer needs. However, many people are now asking the question, should we genetically modify foods? And there has been an increase in controversy on the subject. Genetically modified is a term meaning that DNA in an organism has been altered for the purpose of improvement or creation of defects. They are commonly referred to as GMOs. More specifically, genetically modified foods are foods that have been altered to enhance certain traits for the purpose of making them more desirable. Some common genetically modified foods include soy, corn, canola oil, cotton, milk, sugar, aspartame, zucchini, yellow squash, and papaya. In 1994, the first genetically modified food approved by the Food and Drug Administration was the Flavor Savor tomato. The tomato was genetically altered to be resistant to rotting and decaying as quickly as normal tomatoes, so that they had a longer shelf life in the grocery stores. Initially, they were not even labeled as genetically modified. Soon after, research was conducted that suggested that certain GMOs were toxic to rats. This opened wild controversies of the effect of GMOs on the environment and to humans. Despite the controversies, technologies were advanced, and in 2006, 10.3 million farmers planted 252 million acres of transgenic crops in 22 countries, including the United States, Argentina, Brazil, Canada, India, China, Paraguay, and South Africa. The main purpose of genetically modifying food is to enhance certain aspects of the food, like increasing its resistance to herbicides. Traditionally, this was done by selectively breeding plants for specific traits. However, this method is very inaccurate and time-consuming. Genetic modification is very quick and accurate. Plants can now be made insect-resistant, virus-resistant, or more tolerant to herbicides. GMOs are also believed to be cheaper, more durable in adverse weather conditions, and more nutritional for malnourished people in third world countries. In the future, scientists hope to be able to genetically modify plants to produce vaccinations for countries who can't afford them. Despite the advantages of GMOs, there are still a lot of disadvantages. The most common criticisms are in the regards to the environment. There have been several unintentional yet harmful effects on organisms in the environment. For example, the monarch butterfly caterpillars have suffered in an increased mortality rate. Though they do not consume the GMOs directly, they do consume milkweed plants in neighboring fields where the wind has transferred the genetically altered pollen. Another environmental concern is that the genes used to enhance certain crops will be transferred over to species unintended to contain the gene. For example, where crops have been modified to be resistant to herbicides, the gene can potentially spread into the weeds themselves, causing them to develop a higher herbicidal resistance, causing them to be more difficult to combat and possibly ruining the crops. Human health concerns are also very high. There is a possibility that adding genes to plants could cause allergic reactions in susceptible people. There are also a few studies that show certain GMOs have been harmful to the digestive tract of rats. The effects of GMOs on people are still not completely known. Another disadvantage is that genetically modified foods are very costly. There are concerns that the price of seeds will rise, making business difficult for farmers, resulting in the domination of food production. Finally, we have to think about the ethical issues surrounding GMOs. Many people question if it is unethical to alter nature and the natural ways of life and food production. The ethicality of labeling foods as genetically modified is also a controversial issue. In the United States, labeling foods is not mandatory and is viewed as unethical to many people. Genetically modified foods have come a long way since their first introduction into the market. They have great potential to solve many problems and improve upon many conditions. There are also many challenges facing governments as far as the advancement of GMOs, such as regulations, food testing, and uncovering more possible effects on human health and the environment.